I'm going to be talking about lying to the media. Isn't that a fun topic for an episode? Lying to the media. That's what I'm going to be talking about on episode 88. Episode 88. Say with authority. Episode 88 of The Edward Show. Yesterday I made a TikTok about the top 3 marketing books that I've read. The hook for the video was people new to marketing need to read these books. And number 1, if you want to see what the other 2 books are, you can watch the video on my TikTok. You can just search Build in Public to find me on TikTok. The number 1 book was my first choice, Trust Me, I'm Lying by Ryan Holiday. I read this book, I think it was in 2015 or 2016. I think 2015. And to this day, it has remained the most impactful marketing book that I have read. And I want to talk on this episode about what I learned from that book and some of the things that I tried, some of the crazy things that I tried experimenting, effing around as a result of reading Trust Me, I'm Lying by Ryan Holiday. If you haven't read the book, it's all about how easy it is to lie to the media, to lie to journalists, to lie to publications, and how Ryan Holiday would do it for the gain of his companies. That's what the book is about. I haven't read it in years, so that's me recalling from memory what Trust Me, I'm Lying is about. And he talks about specific ways that he did it. And he tells it in such a way that it makes you want to try it. And I listened to the audiobook, and I was this impressionable kid. And I'm like, this sounds fun. Oh my gosh, I'm drinking coffee with turmeric. I say turmeric. That's how a lot of people say it in Europe. Coffee with turmeric and olive oil. It's real nice. All right. So here are some of the lessons that I got from the book and some of the things that I tried. Lesson 1, I just wrote down some things on my comp for this episode. Number 1, people are eager to listen to what you say as long as it's what they want to hear. I have a wallpaper on my computer for my external monitor wallpaper. I have all these inspiring business photos or important reminders and lessons as rotating wallpapers on my external monitor. And one of these wallpapers, it's an image of a man in an auditorium speaking to a lot of people. And I wrote a caption over it. I made this in Figma, and I turned it into a wallpaper. And the caption says, tell them what they want to hear. In the context of media, telling them what they want to hear gets you press, because journalists are looking for sources who tell them what they want to hear, which corroborates their stories, and then they use those sources, and those sources get press. Telling them what they want to hear is really powerful. If you frame everything in the context of what does this person want to hear, generally speaking, it has a very good chance of benefiting you. But with media, which is the topic of this book, Trust Me, I'm Lying, telling them what they want to hear is very powerful. Number 2, media is a game of telephone. Telephone is a game that we play here in the United States. I don't know if it's played all over the world, but it's a game that teaches children an important lesson, which we forget. But it is an important lesson, and that is how an original message gets warped when it is repeated over and over again. So you could say a sentence, and as it goes down the line, the way that it works is you say a message. There's a line of people. You say a message to the first person at the line, and then they say it to the person after them. That person says it to the next person, and so on and so forth. And by the time it gets to the end of the line of people, the message is a different message than what you started with. It gets warped. Media is like that. Media is a game of telephone. And like I said, journalists will look for what they want to hear in everything that they can find so that it corroborates their stories and frame things in the way that they want to frame. So here's a quick example. On episode 50 of The Edward Show, the episode is called How We Became the Top Blockchain Game. And I talk about how I wrote an article on Medium called Best Blockchain Games in 2018 and 2019. And then I got that to rank on Google for the best blockchain games. And as a result, we got all of these interesting opportunities. And one thing that happened was one of the top companies in crypto tweeted out, these are the best blockchain games. These are the top blockchain games, the games that you got to play, the coolest ones. And because I put our game as number one, they made our game number one. And this was and still is a top followed company in the space. And I heard from a lot of friends who just randomly saw that tweet. Wow, it's so cool that they're tweeting you. And what nobody realized, except for me and my team, was that I had made this article, which is where the journalist got the information from, and it was a game of telephone. It was a game of telephone, and so that's honestly a combination of both lessons 1 and 2. Tell them what they want to hear, and media is a game of telephone. The third thing that Trust Me, I'm Lying did for me is it started an obsession that I have with this company, Helper Reporter. I've talked about it a lot on this podcast. It's a great service. All it is a way for journalists to find sources for their articles, and for sources and companies to get press and backlinks by being mentioned in the publications where the journalists use your quotes. I think this might be the top recommended tool in the book, Trust Me, I'm Lying. And when I heard about it, I was so pumped to try it. And I'm going to give it a story. I'm going to give it like a crazy story about something that I did. In Trust Me, I'm Lying, the author talks about how you could make up stories about yourself, and most journalists will not fact check those stories if you are telling them what they want to hear. They won't fact check those stories. And so I wanted to see really how true that was. And there was a journalist who was writing for a top publication, and she was writing a story on tech reliance, and she needed quotes. This is a true story. And she needed quotes on how we are too reliant on technology. And so I gave her a quote, and I said I was a guest lecturer on robotics at I actually gave the university, but I won't repeat which one it is here. And I said, I don't want anyone to find this. I said I was a guest lecturer on robotics at this top United States university. Wow. And wow, what a coincidence. I'm also writing a book on technology reliance. I really said this. She's like, I'm writing a book on tech reliance and need quotes. And I said I was a guest lecturer on robotics, this top United States university, and I'm writing a book on tech reliance. And I passionately, so she asked to speak on the phone. We spoke on the phone, and I passionately told her what she wanted to hear on this subject, which at the time I knew nothing about. Now I know a bit about technology reliance. Back then, I didn't. I was just experimenting. I wanted to see if this type of thing would work. And I told her this. I gave her some impassioned quotes on this thing that I knew nothing about. She enthusiastically accepted it, referred to me all throughout her article, gave me all of this credit. Now, here's what the crazy thing is. Let me tell you what the crazy thing is about this. If I wanted to be a bad actor, if I wanted to start spreading a lie that I was a guest lecturer on robotics at this top United States university, I could have actually started that because I would have had it backed up by this online article. So I could have started that. And when it comes to like guest lecturing, that's the type of thing that can be done with very little proof. I picked this lie, which would be very hard to refute. And if I wanted to run with it further, I could have. Because lesson number 2, media is a game of telephone. Media is a game of telephone. So that was an interesting experiment that I tried as a result of this book, Trust Me, I'm Lying. Pretty crazy. I'll give one more story. These are all from my marketing journal. You know, I have this marketing journal that I keep where I write down all the things that I have tried, if they have worked or not. I put in excruciating detail, especially about metrics, so I know what's worth repeating and what is not worth repeating. So here's another story. I've tried like so many things like this. I've even tried creating fictional stories, posting them on 4chan anonymously. You know, 4chan is anonymous. Posting these stories on 4chan anonymously, like salacious stories, appealing stories. Lesson number 4 is that the media loves a good narrative. The media loves a good story. appeal to emotion. The media loves a good narrative and a good story. And so I would think of good, interesting, salacious stories, post them on 4chan anonymously, take screenshots of them, and then send them to journalists because, quote unquote, leaked on 4chan, it has a nice ring. It has a nice ring. And I would try crazy stuff like that, which I learned from this book. Trust me, I'm lying. This book shows you how the media operates in even now, 2023. Not much has changed. It shows you how the media operates. Maybe the community notes feature of X or Twitter X, maybe the community notes feature will make things a bit clearer. For the last 2 decades, I guess, it's been very easy because of the internet. I think it'll probably be pretty easy for the next 5 years at least. And if you want to learn how to do it, trust me, I'm lying. This book, it's an old book. I mean, it's over a decade old, I believe. Maybe a decade old. Maybe around that amount. And a lot of its lessons are still very, very relevant. So that's what I wanted to share. That book is my number one most impactful marketing book that I have read. If you want to hear what the other 2 books are, you can look at the TikTok that I made yesterday on Build in Public on TikTok. This is episode 88 of The Edward Show. I hope you enjoyed these silly stories. Hope you enjoyed these silly stories and these lessons that I have gotten over the years. Thank you so much for listening. I'm going to finish this turmeric, olive oil, coffee that I'm drinking, and I will talk to all of you again tomorrow. Bye now.